Imagine a sea creature that sleeps while changing the color of its skin, as if painting its dreams right onto its body. This isn't fantasy, but a phenomenon documented by scientists. Researchers have observed octopuses in aquariums. At night, when the animal is inactive, mosaic patterns and swirls of color appear on its skin, never disappearing for even a minute. This happens when the animal is in a state of rest, and its brain is likely still processing the impressions of the day. Scientists compare this phenomenon to an analog of sleep, disturbances similar to the REM phase in mammals. In experiments conducted at the Stanford Marine Institute and the University of Victoria, octopuses were filmed in infrared and ultraviolet ranges, which made it possible to capture skin changes invisible to the human eye. While sleeping, the octopus appears to project its inner images onto its body. Importantly, octopuses do not have the typical brain structures found in mammals, yet they can still exhibit sleep-like behavior. The hypothesis is that the brain processes sensory information, creates movement rehearsals, and simulates the environment. No imaginary fantasies. These are real observations made under controlled conditions. Behind this observation lies a profound question. If an octopus can dream, can animals without a cerebral cortex experience internal images? This phenomenon is not just astonishing, it challenges our understanding of what self-awareness means in living beings. Dolphin names. Dolphins are able to call each other by name. This has been confirmed by scientific research. Each dolphin produces a unique short-click signal, its signature. Scientists have called this a signature name or signature whistle. In a series of experiments conducted at Tufts University and Florida State University, dolphins were trained to respond to slot machines that were activated specifically by the signals corresponding to their names. When presented with a different signal, one that did not match their own name, the dolphins either ignored it or approached it cautiously. Thus, these animals are capable of social addressing. Hey you! That's how the meaning of a signature whistle can be translated. This discovery changes our understanding of communication in the animal world. Language is not exclusive to humans, and it's not just about calls, but about individual markers. Important. This is not a myth or fantasy, but data from scientific publications. Of course, dolphins don't call out names the way we do, but their behavior is very close to the idea of targeted identification. What's impressive is that such complex behavior evolved in an aquatic environment, where sound is the key to survival. Elephants' tears. Elephants are capable of experiencing emotions that were once thought to be unique to humans. One of the most touching phenomena is their reaction to the death of their kin. Field observations in Kenya, Botswana, and India confirm when elephants encounter remains, they stop, touch the bones with their trunks, and sometimes even linger nearby for a long time. Some individuals bring leaves and branches as if covering the body, seemingly participating in a farewell ritual. Scientists have also recorded physical manifestations. Elephants can shed tears at such moments, and importantly, this is not just a physiological reaction. An increase in cortisol levels in their blood indicates real stress. In essence, these animals experience grief. Their social structure is such that every member of the herd matters, and loss is felt on a profound level. There are numerous documented cases where elephants have returned to the sites where relatives died even months later. Some even visit the bones of long-deceased kin, recognizing them by scent or shape. In one reserve, observers saw an elephant stand by the skull of a deceased companion for more than 20 minutes, touching it with its trunk and making quiet sounds. Such behavior is not typical for most animals. That is precisely why it so amazes researchers. This is not a myth or an embellished story, but facts documented by zoologists, biologists, and naturalists all over the world. Elephants truly mourn, and in this lies one of the deepest displays of emotional intelligence in the wild. The logic of ravens. They are among the most intelligent creatures in the animal world. These birds are able to solve complex problems, use tools, and even anticipate the consequences of their actions. Scientists from Germany and Japan conducted experiments in which ravens had to raise the water level in a test tube to get food. The birds quickly figured out to drop stones inside, choosing those that displaced the most water. Other experiments have shown that crows remember human faces. If a person once harmed a bird, it can recognize them years later and react, for example, by raising an alarm. Moreover, crows are able to pass information about an enemy to other individuals. This indicates social memory. Tools are nothing unusual for them. They break off branches, sharpen them, and use them to extract larvae from under the bark. Some even make hooks to obtain food more efficiently. Their level of creativity is comparable to that of primates. Crows are also capable of planning. They can forego an immediate reward for greater benefit in the future. In one experiment, the birds were offered the chance to exchange a less valuable item for a more valuable one if they could wait. And they waited. All these abilities have been confirmed in dozens of scientific studies. The intelligence of crows is not just a pretty metaphor, but a proven fact. It's not just cleverness, but the ability to analyze, remember, learn, and adapt. These birds show that intelligence can take the most unexpected forms, even in black feathers and with a cawing voice. Spider builders. They are not only hunters but true engineers of nature. Their webs are incredibly complex structures, calculated down to the smallest detail. The thin threads are stronger than steel in terms of strength-to-weight ratio. Each species of spider creates a web of a specific shape: circular, funnel-shaped, flat, or three-dimensional. This is not just instinct. Their behavior is flexible and adaptive depending on the conditions. For example, spiders of the Argiope genus build a special structure in the center of their web, the stabilimentum. This is a dense, zigzag insert noticeable even to humans. Scientists believe that it makes the web visible to birds, which might otherwise accidentally destroy it. In this way, spiders warn other creatures. An amazing form of passive defense. Some species are able to adjust the angles of thread tension depending on the wind or the position of the sun. This allows the web to maintain its shape and effectiveness. Moreover, spiders repair damaged areas, fixing the web without having to rebuild it completely. This saves resources and time. There are also those who build temporary traps. They weave miniature webs at night, and in the morning they take them down and hide them in a secluded place. This demonstrates a high level of behavioral flexibility. Scientific studies confirm the architecture of a web depends on many factors: humidity, temperature, and the availability of prey. All this makes spiders some of the most efficient and precise builders in the animal kingdom. And even though they don't have a large brain, the result of their work is a true wonder of nature. Masters of camouflage. Camouflage in nature is one of the most sophisticated means of survival. Some animals camouflage themselves so skillfully that they become invisible even at arm's length. Some of the most outstanding masters of camouflage are cuttlefish and chameleons. They can not only change their color, but also adjust the texture of their skin to match their surroundings. Cuttlefish, for example, can replicate the texture of sand, seaweed, or coral in a split second. Research shows that these mollusks control hundreds of thousands of pigment cells, expanding and contracting them with the help of muscles. And all this despite the fact that, according to the data, cuttlefish themselves can barely perceive light. They navigate by contrast and light patterns. Chameleons operate differently. They use a special crystalline structure in their skin to reflect light at different angles. It's not just a change of color, but a play with physics. When stressed or excited, their pattern can change right before your eyes. Scientists from Switzerland, using microscopes, have proven that these changes occur not because of pigment, but due to the distance between nanocrystals. There are simpler examples as well: stick insects, leaf insects, stonefish. They camouflage themselves not only from predators, but also from their prey, waiting for the right moment to strike. Camouflage is not just a trick. It is the result of millions of years of evolution, a fine-tuned balance between an organism and its environment. It's amazing how, in the animal world, color, light, and shape turn into a true art of disappearance. Regeneration. The restoration of lost body parts is an ability that inspires awe in humans, but for some animals, it's just a part of everyday life. The most well-known example is lizards, which shed their tails when threatened. However, it doesn't stop there. Starfish can regenerate entire arms, and some species can even regrow a whole body from a single segment. Salamanders can regrow not only limbs, but also parts of the spine, skin, muscles, and even fragments of the heart. Scientists are studying their regeneration mechanisms, hoping to one day apply this knowledge in medicine. Research in molecular biology shows that the key to regeneration lies in activating dormant cells, which revert to an embryonic state and begin to rebuild tissue from scratch. Some worms, such as planarians, can split in half, and each part becomes a new organism. It may sound like science fiction, but these are documented and reproducible facts in laboratories. Even mammals have limited abilities. Deer regrow their antlers every year, and in humans, bones, skin, and partially the liver can heal. However, no animal comes close to the level of regeneration found in reptiles and invertebrates. The ability to regenerate is a form of protection and survival. And if humans had even half of these abilities, medicine would look completely different. In the natural world, such superpowers are not rare, but rather a logical result of evolutionary necessity. The migration of monarchs. Every autumn, millions of monarch butterflies embark on an epic journey across the entire continent. They travel thousands of miles, from Canada to central Mexico, and do so with a precision that amazes scientists. But how do such fragile creatures find a path they've never known before? The monarchs that begin the migration usually die before it ends. It's the next generation that reaches the final destination, and somehow they know exactly where to go. Research has shown that butterflies navigate by the sun using built-in biological clocks in their antennae. They combine the position of the sun with their internal timer to stay on the right course. Scientists from the University of Massachusetts conducted an experiment by altering the light cycle for monarchs in the lab, and the butterflies lost their way. This confirmed the solar navigation hypothesis. In addition, butterflies can sense the Earth's magnetic field. Their antennae contain molecules that respond to magnetic signals, which helps them navigate even in cloudy weather. The monarch's journey includes stops for feeding, breeding, and resting. Sometimes they gather in such dense clusters that they cover entire trees. This spectacle attracts thousands of tourists, but the butterfly's behavior itself remains a mystery. The fact that tiny insects without GPS or maps make such a journey every year is one of nature's most incredible wonders. And each new generation repeats this route again and again, as if following an invisible path written in their genes. The loyalty of dogs. A dog's loyalty is not a myth or a beautiful legend, but a fact confirmed by science. Research shows that dogs are not only able to recognize human emotions, but also genuinely care about them. In one experiment, dogs responded to their owners crying by trying to approach and comfort them. This is not instinct, but a conscious behavior aimed at forming an emotional bond. Numerous real-life stories confirm this. Dogs stay by the side of an injured owner, return to the place of their owner's death, or even refuse to eat after a loss. One of the most famous cases is Hachiko from Japan, who came to the station for 9 years to wait for his deceased owner. This is not unique behavior. Similar stories happen all over the world. Scientists explain such attachment as a combination of factors. First, dogs are social animals that live in groups with a clear hierarchy. The owner becomes part of their pack. Second, dogs have a well-developed capacity for empathy. They pick up on micro-expressions, intonations, and respond to a person's mood. In addition, oxytocin, the hormone responsible for trust and closeness, is produced between humans and dogs. This biological mechanism works both ways. A dog's loyalty is not just a myth. It is the result of thousands of years of coevolution and emotional connection. And the more we study dogs, the more obvious it becomes. In their gaze lies not just an instinctive reaction, but something much deeper, genuine attachment. Cats' cleanliness. Cats are considered some of the cleanest animals on the planet. On average, they spend up to half the day grooming themselves. Their licking is not just about washing, but a complex process of thermoregulation, fur care, and even stress relief. A cat's tongue is covered with hundreds of tiny backward-facing barbs made of keratin, the same substance that makes up nails. These barbs act like miniature combs, allowing cats to remove debris, dust, and loose hairs. In addition, they help distribute saliva, which cools the body in the heat. Scientists from the Georgia Institute of Technology created a robotic model of a cat's tongue to study the effectiveness of this mechanism. It turned out to be more effective than regular pet brushes. Cleanliness is also important for communication. A cat that smells like food or foreign scents may be perceived as a threat by other cats. That's why grooming is also a way to erase, to remove traces, and maintain a neutral scent. It's also a form of self-regulation. After experiencing stress or fear, a cat almost always starts grooming itself. This helps reduce anxiety levels. So a cat's grooming isn't just a whim or about aesthetics. It's a subtle and effective mechanism that operates on the levels of biology, behavior, and social adaptation. And in this we see the remarkable complexity even in the most ordinary actions of animals. Interestingly, kittens start grooming themselves within the first weeks of life, imitating their mother and forming a habit that lasts a lifetime. Fish sounds. Many people think that fish are silent creatures. However, that's not the case. Some species make sounds, and they do so quite actively. For example, during mating season, male croaking gouramis sing real serenades, producing vibrations with their swim bladder. These sounds resemble buzzing or a low hum, which can be heard even through the water's depth. Scientists from the University of California recorded these sounds using underwater microphones, hydrophones, and proved that their frequency and rhythm differ among individual fish. In other words, each fish has its own style of performance. There are other musical fish as well. For example, pike perch and perch use clicks, creaks, and vibrations to mark their territory or attract a mate. Some marine fish even synchronize their sounds, creating the effect of an underwater choir. Fish produce sounds through vibrations of the swim bladder, friction of bones, or movement of their jaws. Unlike mammals, they do not have vocal cords, but they find other ways to communicate acoustically. Such sounds can carry important information about the size of the fish, its condition, readiness to mate, or aggression. These signals are especially important in murky water, where vision is limited. The fact that there is sound in the seemingly silent world of fish is astonishing. It proves that even where we are used to silence, nature is engaged in an active dialogue, just not at the frequencies we're accustomed to. Giants of the seas. When it comes to ocean giants, most people think of whales, but the marine world holds far more mysteries. For example, the giant squid, a creature that can reach lengths of over 40 feet. Despite its size, for a long time it was considered a myth. The first footage of a live squid in its natural habitat appeared only at the beginning of the 21st century. Squids of this kind have enormous eyes, the largest in the animal kingdom. They allow the squid to see in complete darkness at depths where there is no light at all, and their tentacles are armed with hooks and suckers with sharp edges, perfect tools for hunting in the deep sea. Sperm whales, the largest predators among toothed whales, regularly engage in battles with such squids. Scars from tentacles are found on the bodies of sperm whales, which supports the hypothesis of underwater battles. But other giants are just as impressive. The lion's mane jellyfish can have tentacles up to 100 feet long. Despite its fragility, its size makes it one of the longest animals on the planet. Deep-sea fish, like the black anglerfish, also have monstrous appearances and glowing lures on their heads, a result of evolution in a world without light. All these creatures are not myths, but scientifically documented species. Their anatomy, behavior, and unique features are truly astonishing. And each such organism is a reminder of how little we know about what lies hidden beneath the water's surface. When we talk about animals, it's important to remember, behind simple habits often lie complex mechanisms. Octopuses that dream, dolphins with names, grieving elephants, ingenious crows, all these are real facts confirmed by science. The animal world is much more complex and profound than we are used to thinking. And the more we study the behavior of living creatures, the clearer it becomes that intelligence, emotions, and even the beginnings of culture are not exclusive to humans. Nature is full of mysteries, and each one brings us closer to understanding ourselves.